Good morning, good afternoon, good night. The second topic of our third online meeting. And this time we will talk about focus group interviews. Well, here the program, you must be familiar with it by now. What are focus group interviews? Well, they are depth interviews with a group of selected participants. And what are possible topics for a focus group? Well, political parties, they present a selection of election posters and what is the most speaking or attractive election poster. Uh, Focus group tastes pizzas, newly developed pizzas. Well, it says war, but I must have written it myself, but I don't know why anymore. Sorry. And dealing with in-laws. What is happening? Participants respond to each other's answers. They inspire each other and generate ideas that would not have been generated in individual interviews. So it's a group thing. If you have a nice group, there will something um, arise from that meeting, a spirit. What are focus groups? Well, a focus group is a group of people from an established population, and they are having a conversation or a discussion or a meeting, and they are talking about topics that are selected by the researcher. And a focus group is homogeneous. The members have the same characteristics, more or less. Values, ideas, knowledge, background. So you could have a focus group of people who are starting a family, so with young children, and women with a part-time job and children. That could be a focus group, or senior citizens, people between 70 and 80. With more or less the same education. Well, so focus groups are quite homogeneous. What is the main accelerator? Interaction. People are getting engaged in a conversation with each other. And the conductor, we call it the moderator, encourages participants to engage in conversation. He or she asks questions and encourage people to respond and exchange anecdotes, comments, elaborating. What are the advantages of a focus group? Well, it generates ideas and insights, and people who have problems with reading and writing, well, they can participate. And sometimes people don't feel comfortable when they are asked in an individual interview, but they might feel more comfortable in a focus group. The reverse also happens. What are the limitations of focus group interviews? Well, responses are not dependent. People might try to adjust to the group feeling. And it might be that a few dominant people that they color the meeting. And focus groups should be led by experienced chairpersons, moderators, but in order to get experience you should do it. And if you have data generated by a focus group interview, well, that requires specific methods of analysis. And well, I'm so sorry, but we don't have the time to focus on that. Chairing a focus group interview. How do you do it? Well, first you welcomed everyone, you made a few jokes, asked everyone to, well, where do you come from, how are you feeling, etc. And then you start with the objective of the meeting and you ask your first question. You introduce your first topic. What do? You introduce it, you ask your question, you tell them what you want to know, what are their thoughts on the topic, and then you give the participants a few minutes to think about it, to reflect on it, and write down some notes. And then ask participants, well, can you tell me what you wrote down? And maybe explain it. And after you have completed the round, well, let people engage with each other. It might be necessary that you need a minutes taker who records what has been said and maybe note keywords on a flap over or a whiteboard. And if you lead the session, listen between the lines, look at people's body language. How are focus group interviews used? Well, opinion polls, politics, uh, constituents are asked on their opinions of candidates and on issues, and also the perception of the leader of a political party. In companies, well, employees are sometimes interviewed in focus groups, or team leaders about innovations or the future or product development, whatever. Many people in marketing research use focus group interviews. They try to establish how customers might respond to new products, new designs, new logos. Governments make use of focus groups when they want to increase their level of service. And sometimes you can use focus groups and use the outcomes to draw up questionnaires. What is the composition of a focus group? Well, it needs a panel chairperson. Uh, Sorry, I made all my terminology gender neutral in the past years, but this one slipped through. In the next edition, I will change it to chairperson. So, a focus group needs a chairperson, or in other words, a moderator. Most of the times, an assistant moderator as well. Participants, someone responsible for the catering, that could be the chairperson as well, and a minutes taker. And on average, a focus group has 6 to 10 participants and one moderator. If you exceed 10, not all people will be involved. When you have less than 6, well, often then the group is too small to have a nice group dynamics. What does a moderator do? Well, keep the focus group focused on the topics, no pun intended. Create conditions for a lively and productive discussion. A moderator must be able to handle group interaction processes, must have a sense of humor, you must be flexible, have a good memory, generate enthusiasm for the topic, you must be genuinely interested in the participants, encourage body language, go on, listen between the lines and be open to verbal and non-verbal signals of the participants. Yeah, listening skills. Oh, it's so tough. You need to know when you need to go on questioning. You need to realize, oh, now I will be quiet for a few seconds. You must get a feeling when to introduce a new element in the discussion. You must encourage the quieter people and slow down the dominant participants. It's a highly sophisticated skill. This is a prototype of a poster, advertisement poster. Enter our new jet set at regular fare, only at mid-air. And if you ask a focus group, well, give them time to study the picture, let them write down what they think about, and you might be surprised what they will tell you. This airline was developed as a high-end airline, but it turns out that focus groups, they're not, well, they're not convinced. They think it looks cheap, the tarmac and also the logo. They say, well, look at that airplane. The logo of Mid-Air. The airplane is taking off and then it's crashing in burning flames. Completely different from what the designers expected. A trap. Traps. The moderator talking too much. Or the moderator starts lecturing. No, 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 you see that wrong. It should be that way. Or correct participants. Or disagree with what participants say. Or defensive. Oh no, no, really, the company is very interested in the environment. Or act that you don't care at all. Be indifferent. Question skills. Formulate open questions, not suggestive. Formulate clearly, understandable. Think about the order. Not too many questions, not too many topics. And well, here I and the book disagrees. The book say, well, 1 hour and a half, and I think, well, an hour should do. By the way, never ask why questions, because why questions might sound like you are making people, well, like you're, well, it can sound accusative, and people might feel like they have to defend something. Never, never, never. Why questions? Ingredients, a few topics, use statements, pictures, maybe objects to evoke responses and reactions. The participants are carefully selected. And again, how do we registrate? You could hire a minutes taker, but you could also do a video registration. By the way, if you do video registration, that takes so much time to process it, but it's a good way of seeing people's non-verbal reactions. Well, threats might be the goals are not clear. The focus group cannot deal with a topic because they are not interested in it or they don't have knowledge. Focus groups are not representative. When you conduct quantitative research with questionnaires, your participants should be representative for the entire population. Focus groups are not. Good catering is essential. Prepare for paying expenses, travel costs, and always thank you, participants. Well, there's much more to say on focus group interviews. It's a very powerful tool, uh, very useful in market research, and if you're going to do it, use good sources, use good handbooks, and prepare well. All right, that's it for this topic.